Welcome back, guys. In this video, we are going to see how to handle dropdowns using webdriverIO. Okay, so not only we are going to see how to handle, also we'll learn how they are formed. Okay, so without any delay, let's get started. For this video purpose, I have created a web page. Okay, it's a sample web page. You can find the web page at chercher.tech/practice/dropdowns. Okay, so this is the web page we are going to consider for our testing purpose, and we will be considering the first dropdown, the products dropdown. Okay, so let's inspect. For inspecting, you can right click and then you can choose the option inspect. Okay, or you can press Ctrl Shift I. You can click it anywhere in the web page and then take the inspector, click it and put it on the product. Okay, the particular target element. So this is the element we are going to see. So basically the drop downs are formed using a select tag. So you guys can see it here. Okay, so basically it is formed with the select tag and all the values inside this one, like Google, iPhone, Yahoo. These are values are also called as options. So whenever we create a drop down using a select tag, we also have to create the options using option tag. Here you can see it. Okay, so these two are mandatory, but as a practice, whenever a person creates a dropdown, they also used to specify what the value is. Okay, but it is absolutely optional, and I have given some dummy attribute and then a text. Okay, so these three are important. So the first one is the tag, select tag and option tag and the text. These three are important, but these two are optionals. So how we can select a particular particular option from here? Normally what we do is click particular drop down and then select Google, right? Let's do it. Okay, click on. So it has the unique ID as a first, and using ID we'll click it and then we'll select Google. Okay, Google has values Google or a dummy as Google. We can form the XPath and then we can proceed. Okay, so it is like dollar and then you have to find it. It will be like hash first. Okay, so this is how you will be using ID to find an element, and then what we have to do is we have to click it, right? Once we are able to click it, then we have to use this value or the Google option, right? So for that purpose we can use the XPath or we can use Css selectors. Okay, for this example let's consider we will be using a value. That means like attribute. Okay, attribute with Css. So dollar, so it is option as the first tag. You have to provide the option. Once option is there, then we have to use the value. So value is equal to Google. Always try to copy the value from the web page itself. Don't try to type, because sometimes there is a chance that we miss out the spaces. Okay, so now we click that particular option. Okay, so click it again. Okay, so for we are going to test this particular web page. To see that particular actions, I am going to add a bit of sleep, but do not add sleep in your test cases or in your frameworks. Browser dot pass. So basically pass is nothing but sleep. So let's sleep it for 5 seconds so that we can see the result. Okay, so that is the only purpose. Now we have to run this particular code. So for running this code, always remember that you have to start the Selenium standalone. Okay, so it is present under node models. So node, then press tab, it will give the auto suggestion, and then it's inside the bin dot b and then tab, and then we have Selenium, right? SEL then tab. We got it. Let's provide the command called start. Now it will start the Selenium standalone server. Okay, let it start. By the time anyway, so the Selenium server is up now. So let's open another terminal we can click the plus sign here. Okay, now we have to run the conf file using the wdio. Okay, so it is also present under node models because I have installed locally, so I have to run it this way only. Node and then tab dot b tab and then wd tab. Yeah, we got it. Now we have to provide the file, so it is wdio dot conf. We got it. Now hit enter. So we should go to the drop down web page and then it should click the drop down and then it should click the option. This test is started. Okay, browser is up. It should navigate to the web page. We'll see. Yeah, started navigating. Said it failed. Not sure why. Element not interactable. Okay, it seems like it has clicked this one and then it tried to click it, but it got failed because it was not opened by that time. So let me add a bit of a sleep here as well. Okay, here I'm going to add it for 2 seconds. Okay, now I have cleared the screen using the cls command. Cls command is used for clearing the screen. Okay, now I'm going to run the same command again and I'll see like whether I'm able to click it. Run. Yeah, again it is failed. Let's see whether we are able to find using these locators here. Okay, I'm sorry, there was another element with the same ID, so we have to use it select tag along with it to identify it separately. So let's use this tag, sorry, the Css selector and check. See, now we have only one locator, so now we can proceed with our tests. Okay, let me add it. Okay, so let me rerun it again. Let the sleeps there and we will remove it once it starts working. Browser is up and it's navigating. It clicked Bing and now it selected Google. Ignore the notification. It selected Google and it's waiting. So test is passed. Right, now let's remove this 2 seconds of sleep. I'm commenting it. Control / to comment it. Okay, yes, now it's Bing is there. Now Google got selected, right? So it is working fine. Okay, so with no issues it's working fine and we can ignore about the notification in the top that was coming, right? Okay, so now, so this is the way to handle the drawdown. Okay, I hope you guys understood it. So it is simple that first you go to the web page and you click the drop down. Okay, and then click the particular option. Simple, isn't it? Yeah, it is simple. So there will be cases where you will handle like this one, but this is not the time where we handle like this one because webdriverIO provides a particular functions which will be able to handle drop downs. Okay, so the functions are star. I'll add it one by one. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so first we have to find the dropdown. Whatever the reason it is or whatever the method we are going to follow, we have to find the dropdown and then only we'll be able to perform any operations on the particular dropdown. Okay, so the first one is select by index. So what is select by index? Now you can see it here, right? So here you have a couple of options which are Bing, Google, iPhone, Yahoo, right? So what happens is like every element in the web page used to get the indexes. Similarly, whenever we use the select classes, okay, so it is also called as select class methods. These are this select by index, select by attribute, select by visible text. These three methods are called as select class methods. Okay, but unfortunately we can call it as like just drop down methods as well. Okay, now so every element inside this particular drop down will receive an index. So starting 0 here, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3. Okay, so index of the Bing is 0, index of Google is 1, index of iPhone is 2, and Yahoo is 3. Okay, it is similar, like select the first one, so we will select the Bing. It's something like select the third one, we'll select this one, because index starts with 0, so it will be this one, right? Yes, so this is how you will select based on indexes. So index based selection is nothing but we will be numbering like all the options from the top. Okay, so for example, let's select index by 3, which is nothing but 0, 1, 2, 3, which is Yahoo. Okay, so if you get confused, like here is one value, so that is not a value, actually that is a selected value. So here you can get the clear cut informations, like first Bing, Google, Yahoo, and sorry, iPhone and Yahoo. Here the Yahoo is the third one, as because the Bing starts with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's run this example and we'll see the result. Let me clear the screen, CLS, and rerun the conf file, because there will be no changes in the conf file because we are pointing to this file, so it will be only changes in this file only. Okay, it's opening. Now we got Yahoo. Don't you think it is a pretty quicker than the last one, the one we have clicked the drop down and then we click the option, right? This is a pretty good one. Now it got selected Yahoo. So if you have not seen this selection, if you want me to run again, I'll run it. I hope you can see Yahoo selected here, right? Yeah. So this is the first method to handle a dropdown. Select by index. Okay. Select by index is nothing but the selection happens based on the indexes present in the dropdown. Like the first option will be indexed as the 0 and second option as 1 and then so on. Okay. So this is the first way, and the second way would be, so consider like now there is 4 options. Tomorrow one guy, new developer comes and adds one more option here in before Bing. So what happens now? That value becomes 0 and Bing becomes 1. Now everything changes, isn't it? Because for example, if I have a third here and if I bring one more value here, that becomes a third and Yahoo becomes fourth. So this is not a reliable way to use indexes. Okay, so you can use select by index this particular value when you don't have any other option other than using the select by index, but otherwise I wouldn't suggest using select by index. Okay, the second method, select by visible text. Okay, so I'll explain what the visible text is. Okay, so this is a tag, the option is tag, and the dummy is an attribute, and a value is an attribute, and again this option, the last option, is a closing tag. Okay, now whatever the values present before this greater than sign and the lesser than sign here, okay, this particular value be called as text. Okay, here Bing and Google and iPhone and Yahoo are texts. Okay, are also called as visible text. So based on these values we will be performing our selection. Okay, so now we want to select which one we'll select. iPhone, shall we? So let me copy the value and now I'll put it iPhone here. Okay, we have 5 seconds of sleep so that we will be able to see it. Let me rerun the code. This is the method I'll be using if I value. Okay, because this is more reliable than index. Okay, the page is opened, iPhone got selected. Okay, because tomorrow, for example, consider tomorrow one guy inserts one more value called ChercherTech, for example, my site, and will this iPhone gets affected because of it? Maybe the index gets affected of this iPhone, but not the text, right? So because of which we can go with visible text. And also you may think like, what if somebody inserts a duplicate value like one more iPhone? No, that will never happen, because most of the time developers are cautious that drop down values are for selecting one value. Okay, so they will not give a dummy or duplicate values. Okay, so the visible text will work perfectly. Now the third method is based on some attributes. Now we have considered like, in case, as I was explaining, consider like we have two iPhones, but values are different, means then we can use the value. Okay, so now we have seen like based on the index and based on the visible text. Now the last method is based on the attributes. Now here I have attribute for mic, which is a short I have created for Microsoft, and go for Google, and app for Apple, yeah for Yahoo. Okay, so if you take a protractor or Selenium, there is a methods called, not in a protractor because protractor doesn't support dropdowns. We have to create our own. But in case of a Selenium, okay, WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver with Java, it provides few methods like select by index, select by visible text, and select by value. So that last method, select by value, is dependent on this particular value. But you may think, what if there is no value at all? Okay, so that was one of the drawback when we are using Selenium WebDriver with Java. Okay, so if no value is present, we cannot use that particular method called select by value. So these WebDriver IO guys have realized that one. Then they have come up with the solution that let's not depend on the value, just use any attribute whichever is present, something like dummy. Okay, I have created this non-standard dummy just to showcase like you can use any particular attribute. It should not be a like it need not to be a like name or ID or class, something like that. You can use any attributes. That's why I have created a dummy equal to app, which is short for Apple. Let's try to select Google. Okay, the attribute name is dummy. Okay, so it is select by attribute. Okay, select by attribute we are now using. We have to select the dropdown, from which dropdown we are going to select, and then we have to provide two parameters. One is what the attribute is, not dummy but dummy, and then what's the value of that particular attribute. It is goo, right? Now it should select Google here because the dummy has attribute goo here. Okay, let me run it. Okay, page is up. Now we got Google here. You guys able to see, right? So we are able to select using attribute. So now also you can ask like, can we use it using value attribute? Obviously, man, you can use it. See, Google now. I have changed the attribute to value and the value to Google, and I hope so. See, for this one, the value is Google. Okay, let me run the code again. This time also it should select Google. See, we got Google, right? Yeah, so we are able to use value as well. Okay, so not only this dummy or a value, you can use any attribute present in that particular dropdown. Okay, and I want to tell you one more thing, like, for example, is there any other way to select a dropdown? Just think for a moment, like, is there any other way? First we have seen like click and then what do you do? Click and then click the option. Now we are using select class. Now is there any other way other than this way? Okay, so if you are not sure, let me teach you one more way. Okay, so now I have selected Bing. Now if I want to select Yahoo, I'll just type Y in my keyboard. I'll press the key Y. You can see in the screen, the value has changed to Yahoo. Okay, now let me change it into iPhone. Okay, I'm pressing I, it changed. Now back to Google, now back to Bing, now back to Yahoo. Okay, so using a keyboard, you can select a particular value. So what method do we use for keyboard? Do you guys remember in webdriverIO what method we use for sending values in keyboard? Yes, I do think you guys know it. So for example, let's not use this one, but use browser dot send keys. So we have to pass a method. Okay, just give a moment. We can use the browser dot set value itself. So now I'm going to set the value to Y, and I'm going to experiment that whether it selects Yahoo or not. Okay, because we were able to select using keyboard. When I press Y, it selected Google. When I pressed B, it selected Bing. Okay, so now I'm sending the Y itself. Let's rerun it. Sorry, let's run it. Normally we'll rerun it when there is some failures, and it should select Y. It did not. Okay, so it is not working with set value. Okay, so let me clear the screen and give one more try called try with browser dot send keys. Browser dot send keys. Okay, here I'm going to use browser dot send keys, and it accepts a value, but value we have to send it somewhere, so we'll not be able to use it. So as I was telling, it is one of the way. So but let me change it to full text Yahoo, and let's see whether it works or not this time. Previously we were using the CLS, so we are rerunning the code. Nope, it doesn't seem to work. Okay, it is okay, it is not a big problem. Okay, so I hope you are clear with first four methods, like click and then click the option, and then 3 methods on the SAR class. So sometimes you will receive a scenario where you have to select a particular value from the dropdown when the value is not selected, or you want to select a value, or how will you check a value is selected or not? For that purpose, we can use is selected method. Okay, so we have to find the drop-down value first. For example, here I want to, the first selected value is like whenever I refresh this page, the first selected value is Bing. Now I want to see like whether Bing is selected or not. Okay, so for this purpose I'll be using value equal to Microsoft. Okay, already we have a CSS value for this one. Now we have to create new CSS path for that option. So it will be like option, and then we will be having a value attribute, value equal to Microsoft, and then the square brackets. And okay, now let's confirm it, because we don't want to have any issues like my first one. Okay, now it is selected the first one. Now we can use this particular one. Okay, so there is a method called is selected. I hope you guys are aware that you can use is selected with dropdowns, not only with the checkboxes and radio buttons, we can also use it with dropdowns. Okay, is selected. Okay, now I'm going to print this on using console log dot console.log of that particular value. Okay, so in the conf file I'm going to change all the things into error, the log level to error from the trace. because I don't want to have any other prints other than this particular true or false from here. Okay, if you want me to add a little more, I can add bit of stars here and then concatenate with the val. Okay, let me rerun it. Okay, the browser is opening and Bing is selected one by default, so we should receive a true as a value. Okay, let's see what we get. Here you can see true, the star true. So I hope you guys are able to understand that each selected method can be used on dropdowns. Okay, so now how will you make sure that if a particular value is not selected, then select a value? Okay, for example, consider like I want before proceeding any process, I want to select Google. Okay, then proceed with the further operations. But at the same time, it would be a waste of time if we select Google when already selected value is Google, right? Because we will be performing one more operation extra. For example, now the Google is selected. If the thing says like select Google and then proceed. Now if I do it, then we are performing literally one more extra operation. Instead of that one, we can check whether Google is present and then select or not select based on the value. Okay, if Google is selected, then don't select it or don't enter or don't change it. If Google is not selected, then select the Google, right? So for example, here I'm going to change it to Google, Google. Google. Okay, now if let me remove the console log because which is of no use. Okay, so in this case, what we have to do is you have to use the if else block. Normally you will be using if block. Okay, you will not be using else block. Now if this value is selected, then perform this thing, and if value is not selected, then perform on the else block. But our main concern is if the value is not selected, then we have to select. So we might need to write some code here, right? But that wouldn't be a bit of a thing or a bit of a delay, because it checks the first if and then it comes to else. So what we do is we will remove this else block. We will add a not, okay, exclamation mark, which makes this value into false. So if it is selected, which makes false, so that it will not enter this particular loop. But if this is giving false, which means that there is the option is not selected, then it becomes the false becomes true because of this exclamation mark, and then it enters the if block. Okay, now we want to select this one. So for selecting, we can use the same kind of locators, but a different one. I'll change it. Okay, select the drop down, and then we have to select by visible text Google. Okay, now this will be selected only when Google is not selected. If already Google is selected, then it will not work, but if it is not selected, then it will work. Okay, so that's why we have a check here. Let me clear the screen and rerun the code. Okay, the browser is opened. Google is not selected. Now Google is selected. You guys are able to see it, right? Yes. So now the test is passed. But in case if it is already selected, then we shouldn't be selecting it. So for example, let me add a console log here. Log. So this was the proper case. Now let me add the other one, like when the value is already selected. For example, here I'll make it a Bing, which will be already selected. Okay, and then Bing here. So when the value is selected, I want to ignore this particular block. This particular block I want to ignore here. It should come to the else block and then perform it. But I don't want to have any else blocks because I don't have any operation to perform. So to make sure that one, I am printing this hash symbols or pound symbols. Okay, let me run it. Okay, now Bing is by default selected. It should not select Bing again. Okay, it is not selecting yet. It will not select basically because Bing is already selected there. Okay, it says the value. I'm sorry, actually it is Microsoft. I didn't see it here. So this is how I make mistakes and rectify it and take like hour of times. Okay, that is normal. Here the value is Microsoft, right? So I didn't give it here. Okay, let me rerun it. It is normal for me to spend more time in errors. Okay, so that's how I learned a lot of things. Okay, now the browser is opened. We'll see like whether Bing gets selected or not. As per our code, it should not select because it's already selected. Now the test is passed and we don't see this particular symbol, the hash symbol or the pound symbol, right? Which means that this block did not get executed. Only if, okay, only this particular block executed will get executes whenever the Bing value is not selected. I hope you are clear about the drop downs. Okay, first one is select by index, second one is select by visible text, and third one is select by attribute. And the brute force way is click drop down and click option. Okay, this is the brute force that we have seen in the first very beginning, and the last one we tried with keyboard. Okay, this one did not work. When we send the keys from the keyboard, it did not work. But in your case, you may be lucky; it may select. But normally, it will select. Okay, so whatever user can mimic, the same. Sorry, whatever user can do, the Selenium and protractor and webdriverIO also can mimic that particular actions. Okay, so I hope you guys are clear about it. And yes, this is the end of this tutorial. Thank you.